He's been sort of mulling this over. It was very clear as he continued to lose primary states and primary contests that this was not in the cards for him. I think he was trying to figure out a way to get out of this and do it in a way where he could still exert some influence on the Democratic Party moving forward. And then there was the Wisconsin vote, and I think he saw what was going on there and how coronavirus really has affected this campaign, and the idea of continuing a competitive primary when he doesn't really have a chance to win the nomination. I think finally they just decided this isn't going to be in the cards, but he's going to still stay out there and try to aggressively at least push his ideas forward within the party.
Do you think COVID-19 played a part in this at all, seeing that there hasn't been any rallies? We haven't really heard from the Democrats because coronavirus has been the front and center issue that everyone has been reporting on. I mean, that's all we're talking about right now.
Well, it's really completely changed the game in terms of the campaign. These candidates can't go out and hold rallies. They can't have debates. They can't be out there mingling with voters. And so the opportunity for Bernie Sanders to even try to change the dynamic in the race at this point is non-existent. And so, you know, I think he looked at the next couple of months and saw the calendar and said, I just don't think there's a way that I can even have a chance to do this, even if I wanted to. And so, you know, it's interesting because moving forward, this is going to create some challenges for Joe Biden, who now has to pivot to becoming a general election candidate and raising a lot of money, which he can't do in person. He's going to have to try to raise money for his campaign from his basement in Delaware, basically. And it's going to be interesting to see how he can do that.
Right, this has changed the way politics is going here in this country. It's a momentum killer for sure, as you mentioned. Now they're going to have to move their campaign online. The Democrats have already rescheduled their convention. Do you think there's any chance it could be canceled, or are they talking about a potential virtual version? What's going to happen there?
Yeah, there's definitely conversations going on about a virtual convention. I mean, at the end of the day, the convention really brings a lot of attention to the nominee, the party's nominee, and who they decide their running mate is going to be, the vice presidential running mate. And so they want to at least have some sort of big public moment to show that off. Whether it has to be a 4-day convention, whether it has to involve 20,000 people in an arena, that remains to be seen. I think they would like to do it that way. I think the pomp and circumstance of it is good promotion for each of the parties. I mean, Donald Trump has said, we're going to have our convention no matter what. And so, I mean, part of that is he likes the show, and he understands that the show helps boost the campaign. And so I think the Democrats will do whatever they can to try to do it in person, but there are contingency plans being discussed, potentially maybe doing this virtually.
We're seeing all sorts of things happen also with the primaries. So before we get to November, there's already people not wanting to vote in the primaries, but we saw what happened in Wisconsin just the day before. What's going to happen in November?
That's a very good question. There's a big debate going on now. You have Democrats who are basically making the argument saying we should try to turn these elections in each of these states into more of an absentee ballot vote by mail situation to try to prevent people from having to mingle with each other as they go to vote. And not only that, they look at it as an opportunity to get more people to vote. Usually if you have a vote by mail situation, that increases turnout. Republicans, on the other hand, they say we don't want to do that for a couple of reasons. One, it's too hard to do, to implement in last minute, and it really is sort of late to try to do this. Secondly, they don't necessarily want to increase turnout, because usually when turnout increases, it helps the Democratic Party. And third, they think there's going to be some sort of fraud potential here. If you start handing ballots out without people actually being in person to vote, they're concerned about fraud. So there's going to be a big debate in a lot of these states about what to do moving forward, whether you try to encourage people to vote absentee or vote by mail, and set up systems to do that, or continue to allow people to vote in person. I think we're going to be hearing a lot of that between now and November.